We have the great pleasure this morning of hearing stories from Joanna Tompkin, who lives at Mayor Nazar. As you can see, we can see the gates. Um, Joanna and I decided to have our faces small so that you see the full big photos of she's going to take us through the history of Mayor Nazar. This will be it's already an exciting morning. And Joanna wants this to be an informal feeling. So if you have something to share, raise your hand and I'll call on you.
Okay. Jai Meherabad. Jai Meherabad. Welcome everyone. Are you hearing me all right?
Perfectly, yeah.
Okay, great. Welcome to Khushru Quarters, historic Khushru Quarters, today known as Mayor Nazar, the Trust compound. And we're featuring the gate because that's where you enter. And as we said, outside this gate, this place is, of course, the first home of Avatar Meher Baba in Ahmednagar. And that's not often featured, that Baba actually lived here. And he stayed here with his band of Mandali in those early 1920s years. And even when he didn't live here, he stayed here and did work. And when he didn't stay here, he came here almost every day he was in Ahmednagar. If he left Meherabad and he came into town, he always came to his office, his other home, and which was at Baba's time, it was called Khushru Quarters. We're going to get into why it was called Khushru Quarters, but that's important to say how much time beloved Baba spent here. And Baba not only spent time here, but he was in seclusion here. He met Sadhguru Upasni Maharaj here. And outside there is Sarosh Motors, Sarosh petrol pump, and the cinema, which I don't have photos of, that Baba and the women Mandali in particular used to watch movies at 5 o'clock in the morning. And also a play was performed there, Jai Mehera, where all of the Ahmednagar Center came with beloved Baba to watch a live play in the Sarosh cinema. So let's open the gate and go inside. And the first person I'm showing here is Gulmai, Irani. She was a very special woman whose story is only just now coming to light, because she did write a beautiful diary, and it's now available on online, and it's available in book form. But even before that, we were getting little leaks of her stories. People like Mehernath Kalchuri, son of Bao Kalchuri, used to tell us things about Gulmai because he met her and he knew her. She was the matriarch of Khushru Quarters. Her husband, Khushru, was the patriarch. So the two of them owned Khushru Quarters. They purchased it from the British, and it was owned by the British during the British occupation, and they purchased it on a long-term lease. And it was only years later that Bao Kalchuri discovered it was on a lease, probably Khushru and Gulmai knew that, but in the beginning it was unknown that it was on a lease, and the lease was starting to run out by the time Bao discovered it. And fortunately, Baba prompted him to check into details like that because of his legal background. He had the right sort of mind. He went to Delhi. He talked with the officials from the government and purchased it, and purchased it as an actual, he bought the land for the trust. And it was something like, you know, something very small, like 100 rupees for one section, and it was just outrageously cheap by today's standards. So it's purchased now for all time as a Baba place. And Gulmai and Khushru also had another home, and that home in Ahmednagar was called Sarosh Manzil. I don't have a picture of that. It is in some of the books. It was a very stately, large home that they built. And they had this Khushru Quarters. Her husband was quite prosperous in his business. And they had 4 beautiful children, 2 boys and 2 girls. And I'm going to show you. Okay, we're going to get back to the family because something happened before something happened with Baba. Remember, I told you that Baba stayed here such a long, I mean, it was his place of residence. And it's not about how long, it's about that this was a place that Baba lived. So what we're looking at now is a picture today of Khushru Quarters. And our current chairman, Falu, I have to give him a big pat on the back. He's done a lot of just tending to the garden in Khushru Quarters. And we all know how beautiful the garden is at Meherabad. And when Falu became chairman, he said, well, there's one thing I can do, and that is at least I have a passion for gardening. So he's been out there with the workers directing where each plant should go. And each one of these potted plants, he's bringing from cuttings in Meherabad. And he tells me that each one has a story and a lineage to beloved Baba. So they're not random plants. So Falu pulled up the plants that he considered random, and he planted these pots, and he's even planted some young trees that have a big history. So here, can you see my finger? Okay. Here in the corner where this door is, that today is the chairman's office. But in Baba's time, that room was the room that was used for some seclusion work he did that could have changed the spiritual hierarchy, the spiritual destiny of the universe and the other universes, because he shared with us that in that room, Baba met with the 5 perfect masters of the time. And it was in 1923, early 1923, Baba sat in that room for 7 days. He only allowed his mandali to bring him tea and maybe a little water. He didn't eat. He didn't engage with anyone. But, you know, we all know stories of other seclusions of Baba's, but that room was used for that purpose. Later on, it became the room of Faram Working Boxwala, who Bao used to tell us, Faram would sit here on this outside on this veranda on his typewriter, working. And when Bao spent 4 years writing Lord Meher and collecting the information, but to collect the information, not writing it. But when he got down to doing translation work, it's important that we set the record straight. Bao put it in Lord Meher that he did his own translation of Lord Meher. The book of 18 volumes of Lord Meher was first written out by hand in Hindi by Bao. And he did that in, I think it was only 4 months. He wrote it out. But the preparation work took a very, very long time to be able to write that book. It took almost 4 years. So Faram was out here typing translations that he did of the Gujarati into English. He could do that much, but he could not translate Bao's Hindi. So Faram gave that information. There were small documents, comparatively small documents that were done in Gujarati, and they were translated for Bao by Faram. But Faram typed the whole thing in English. He had good English and he had good Gujarati. He hardly spoke a word of Hindi. So it was confirmed also by Mehernath Kalchuri that it would have been impossible for Faram to do the translation as it was reported that he did, incorrectly reported. So Faram was out here working. Then
Joanna,
after,
may I ask
yes,
which room, because there's several doors here.
this one here at the very end on the corner.
The one with the black.
We don't see your
door?
finger.
Oh,
maybe
okay.
Betty,
You
can
don't
use
see
the
my
pointer?
finger.
Betty,
The
can
dark-
you use the pointer?
Okay, the corner.
Who has the pointer?
Here, right here.
Oh, that one. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, right here on the corner of the building. Okay, it's this room.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So that's
And
where
another-
Baba did his seclusion.
That's where Baba did his 7 days of seclusion and met the 5 perfect masters. So
Thank
I
you.
was just giving later history of that room. And now today, as you know, it's the sitting chairman is sitting in this room. And
Joanna,
probably,
excuse me, is that where that was Devana's room?
I don't know. There were many people in this room. Yeah,
'cause she was in the
before
corner
the,
room.
yeah.
About you, just
Yeah,
sorry.
I'm not trying to give all blow by blow of all
Okay.
of the Westerners that stayed in different rooms. But Faram was an important figure because of the work that he did for Baba. So next to the room, I'm sorry, thank you for pointing that out, Diana. I'll use the mouse. The room next to this seclusion room here was also an important room. And in Baba's time, we're not sure if this was all one big room or whether there were 2 rooms, but today there's 2 rooms. And we're quite sure that this was the room where beloved Mehera stayed with Sunamasi, Khorshed, and so Mehera was quite young at that time. And Baba did not want her, it was after Meherabad time, and Baba did not want Mehera to be in Meherabad when he was out of station. He had to go to a Baba program. I believe it might have been Bangalore. And so he had Mehera sit in this room, and he gave them all assignments, gave them all orders. And the order was to write God's name. I don't know how many times, but it was, so many times it took them more than half the day just to finish the repetitions. And Mehera's assignment was to write Yestan, 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 Yestan. And when they finished that, then they had to stitch clothing for quartas, for shirts for the poor children when Baba did a poor feeding program. So that happened in this room.
Joanna,
Okay.
excuse me.
Yes.
Sanover asks if we're allowed to go visit the seclusion room or this room as well, or go inside. Is that allowed or?
Yes, we take people when we do the tour on Saturdays. We take people inside if it's available. If the chairman is engaged with something and he says not now, then we don't go in. We just, but the chairman's not always there, and he's usually not there on Saturday. So it works out. If the room is unlocked, then we go. It's a hit and miss. Some tours get to go inside, some not. But yeah, you can get opportunity, and you can always visit the chairman and enjoy the room, you know, when the chairman's there as well, when you come. So that's a good point, in that Khushru Quarters, Meherabad is a place that does not have, it doesn't have opening hours. The trust workers who work right here today in Baba's office, even in Baba's time, this was Baba's office, but it was also living quarters for Adike Irani's family, Khushru and Gulmai, Dali, Paroja. I mean, the family would stay here, and in these quarters here. Adi's room was here on the end, which today there's one little window right here. I'll show you a picture later of Baba inside this room. And we're told by Meherabad that Baba used to sit at this window. You all know the picture of Baba on the is it a lion or a leopard skin? It's a spotted animal. Baba sitting, that's from this room. And Baba used to sit here on this couch and look out the window and see what's going on in the compound. I love that, because when I come by, then I'm reminded of that. And we all are. So here is another important room in the trust compound. This is the
I have
Baba's
a
time
question.
picture.
I'm sorry, but it's my only chance to get the picture clear, Joanna. Was the cursor, when you were talking about where Falu works now, was that where Bauji's office used to be?
Bauji's office, right, here's the cursor. See this white wall here?
Yes.
There's a little passage there. And right where my cursor is, that's leading to Bauji's office is about here, but along this little passage.
And where is Falu's office now?
Right here.
Oh, so it's the room opposite.
It's opposite, but Bauji's office is facing the side of Falu's office.
Thank you.
The doors do not face each other.
Yes.
Okay, so Bauji's office is here. And in Baba's time, Bauji's office was a veranda. And Adike Irani is the one that built it out to become an enclosed building, because he used it for a short time for his own office as well. Okay.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay, so we'll go back to the prayer room. As Betty knows, I had a little bit of difficulty getting all these photos together. Some of them I had to purchase from David on Meherabad Publications. Some I had, but to get them in order, I had to teach myself all kinds of odd skills that I did not have. So I'm limited just to 20 pictures, but there's a wealth of pictures that are out there that I could have added to this. And maybe one day we'll do that and have a proper book, because these stories are that important. This is Upasni Maharaj. It's called, in the old days, when I first came to Khushru Quarters, it was called only Upasni Maharaj's room. But originally it was Gulmai's prayer room. And this is a picture. This is Gulmai in her room praying. But Meher Baba used this room almost every day that he was there. And this room was also the room that Baba met people like Baba's younger brother, who second wife, Franey, came to this room. And that's where Baba met her. He told her to enter that room, and the two of them had their first meeting in this prayer room. So Gulmai was, I'm now going to tell you just a little background about what she went through in her family life and in her journey to God. Gulmai was a very loving and dedicated mother, but she found having 4 children and a husband who was so ambitious in his profession that she didn't feel she had support, and it drove her more and more inward. Of course, in the divine plan, everything was preordained, but for Gulmai, it was more or less like she was depressed and she was unhappy, and she would just go to God. So she would go to her prayer room and pray and spend hours and hours. And I love this photo that we have captured Gulmai praying in her room. This bed here looks exactly like the bed that's in the room today. Mehernath did not want to swear that it was the same bed today, but the bed that's there today looks exactly the same. The feet, the legs of the bed are exactly the same. The reason I'm making a big deal of this bed is because that's where Baba would have rested when he came. The Gulmai would not have photos all over it, and Baba would be able to rest on this bed. So Gulmai, I'm just going to tell you just a little bit more about Gulmai because it really ties her back to this place. You don't understand or I didn't personally understand the magnitude of Gulmai without understanding what happened in her life. And she got to a point where people, family members and people that knew her were saying, she's got to get some help, Khushru. And there was one person that was working for Khushru by the name of, that later on got the name Masaji from Meher Baba. He worked, coincidentally, he was related to Baba, and he was working for Father Khushru, Gulmai's husband. And he said Gulmai should go and see Upasni Maharaj. She is not well, and he will help her. He's an Ayurvedic doctor, and he's Sadhguru. He's God himself. And so God directly can help your wife, and he's a doctor. So where better place is there for her to go? And Gulmai herself was a little hesitant at first. So she sent some others ahead of her, and that happened. And they came back with good report. And so Gulmai went with Khushru's blessing. in those days, now this is 1919, that Gulmai first went to Sakori, that she was going by horse-drawn, Tonga, and then she would go by train. So it was quite a rigorous journey. And she was a very, very high class lady, a fine lady. But she made the trip, and Masaji went with her. Her husband would not allow her to go to such a place without a male escort. So he went with her. And she was told, when she got to Sakori, she was told to sit. I won't, no, sorry. She was told to sit under a tree. And because Upasni was in seclusion, so she had to wait for him. But under that same tree in 1919, there was a young man sitting there. This young man had long, wild, black curly hair and startling black eyes that looked like he was a little dazed. And she came to find out when she was talking to him that his name was Merwan. She also came to find out that he was the same one who had attended the wedding of her wedding to Khushru. He had attended as a guest with his mother and father, Shariar and Shirinmai, because all of these Zoroastrians were very, very tightly knit. And so when there was a big important wedding, they would attend. So there was already that connection that she didn't know this young man. He may have attended the wedding, but she never remembered seeing him until that moment. And he was speaking to her, and she had heard his name. So she had heard that he had a very, very sweet voice. And so she got the idea, one day I want to ask him to sing. So she was having a jolly conversation with him, and he was just completely in his world, because as we know, Upasni was working with him for 4 years, and he came and stayed there for long periods of time. And that's the time when Baba decided was the right time for Gulmai to come to Sakori. So she had this wonderful conversation with Meher Baba, but really he was not fully a man, not fully human, he human conscious. He was still in that state where he was 100% God. He'd been to all the 5 perfect masters, but he wasn't yet fully human, fully conscious of his humanity. So she waited, and then she got her chance to go in to see Upasni. I'm going to come back to that. There. She got her chance to see Upasni, and Upasni Maharaj was in a hut, and she went in to see him, and he looked like this in his usual dress, in his gunny sacks. And he brought her in to his little jopti, his little hut, and Gulmai fell at his feet. And I'm going to go back to Gulmai because there's some other things I want to tell you. So she fell at Upasni's feet, and it was not long before Gulmai was saying to him, "Oh, please, master, please keep me in your company. I don't want to go back to my family. I want to just stay and remain with you, be with you. Please, I want to be with you for all time. I don't want to go back to my 4 children and my husband. Please keep me here." And he said, just be with me, mother, don't worry. And he was very sweet and very, very loving with her. And she just became intoxicated with that love. And she did stay. She stayed about 3 days that time. And when she returned to her husband could see that there was a change. And even though he did not believe in this Sadhguru, this Hindu Sadhguru, he saw him as, he was a Brahmin, and so he thought he was the Hindu Sadhguru. He did not believe in him, but he saw this change in his wife. And so he allowed her to keep on going. That's a key thing, you know, he allowed her to keep on going, and she did. She went again and again. And so she told him, this is your prayer room. And then she also told Meherabad, this is your prayer room. Just come anytime. It's not mine. It now belongs to you. So this photo must be very early, and where she has her pictures all over the bed because Baba would stay here. Today we have pictures all across on the walls, and those pictures were put up by Adi K. There's so many stories to tell of the family that there's not really time, but just know that Baba collected all 4 of those children into his web of love, and they all went to Upasni Maharaj as well. Gulmai took them when they were quite young, still in school. Adi was in college. Dolly and Paroja and Rustam all went to Upasni, and consequently they all met Meherabad as well. And then they started meeting Meherabad as he came to the Khushru Quarters. So let me show you, just because it's very difficult for me too to understand how this family tree works. Here's our Gulmai, married to Khushru, and the British gave him the title Khan Sahib. Khan Sahib is an Indian term, but it's very high, very most honorable. It's a very high position, a high post. And it was, I believe it was Upasni who said, you will be Khan Sahib. And he didn't believe it at the time. It was because he was just a businessman. He didn't understand this. His father and mother were Gulnar and Khushru, elder Khushru. This elder Khushru is a very important figure because he, even though he knew who Meherabad and Upasni Maharaj were, he had wanted nothing to do with them. He was like, you all remember how Baba's Mehera's uncle opposed Baba so vehemently, and Baba loved that opposition, but it pained Mehera for her entire life that her own uncle would do such a thing. So same thing happened in this family of Gulmai and Khushru. Khushru's father was vehemently opposed to this Meherabad and Upasni Maharaj. So here's the 4 children we were talking about. Rustam, the oldest, Adi K, the next son, Paroja, the oldest girl, and Dolly, the youngest. And so we're going to talk about this marriage between Franey and Rustam. Franey here is the sister of Baba's Mehera, sister of Baba's Mehera. Very, very important. So see how important this family is in Baba's work. You know, these players. On this side, Gulmai's mother was Suna, and Baba called her Suna Masi. She was in that room with Baba's beloved Mehera, doing that work of writing God's name and making the shirts for the poor feeding. Suna Masi was there. Her samadhi, her tomb is up by Baba's tomb, Baba's samadhi. it's under that big tree where there's all those big, where Baba's parents are. Sunamasi is there. And Masa was, let's see, that's her husband. Yeah, so that would have been Gulmai's father. Again, another Khushru. So Baba gave him the name Masa. And Khorshed.
Excuse me, if I may
Yes.
say. Yeah,
Yes.
Sunamasi is married to this Khushru. And
Let's
they
see.
have
Oh,
daughter-
or yeah, let's see.
And-
Suna married Khushru, and their
And that-
daughter.
Right.
Let's see.
Right. But of course,
Suna and
Sunamasi. Gulmai and Sunamasi are sisters.
their
And she was
sisters.
married
Thank you.
to Khushru, and they are the
See, I'm still learning this. Yeah. Thank
And
you,
that-
Mother Nama.
yeah. And
They were
also
sisters.
And the Khushru, the other one, is not the father. The father is up on top, or very top. Khushru, Gulmai's husband, is brother
This is
of
Gulam.
Khushru.
His brother?
Is brother of Gulnar, next to him, if you see the line next to him.
Yes.
And
No,
Khushru,
brother? No, this is husband. They're married. See?
yeah, but
Married.
Gulnar, not Gulmai,
Oh,
Gulnar.
Gulnar.
Yeah,
Yes.
and Gulnar is married to Khushru, father of Sarosh Irani.
Here's Gulnar. Yes.
Yeah. Gulnar is married to Khushru, who is father of Sarosh Irani, who was married to Vilu.
So they're not showing his wife then.
That's his wife.
This is brother. These are married, Gulnar and Khushru Senior, yes?
Right, but
Mhm.
he is Khushru Senior is brother-in-law of Khushru, husband of Gulmai. And he is the father of Sarosh Irani, who was married to Vilu Vila, from Vilu Vila. This
Elder
is the father.
Khushru. Elder
Yeah, yeah.
Khushru
Yeah.
is
We
the
have
father of
Sarosh
Sarosh.
below there. The children are listed there below, and you see Sarosh's name.
Sarosh, yes. Dinshaw, Sarosh, Homai,
Yeah,
Mota,
yeah.
and Gulnar. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, we could spend a whole program on just this family tree.
Yeah.
And thank you. You know, it's really interesting, isn't it, how they're all intertwined? But I wanted you to be able to see something. Because
Joanna?
really, I have to admit, I'm still learning all these connections. Yes.
Joanna, are you going to go back to Gulmai's prayer room? Because I'm interested in knowing who the photographs were of at the time when she used that room. You mentioned there are more photographs now, but do you know which ones are on the wall?
Yeah, Meherabad told her to put up the all photos of God and the avatar and the perfect masters. So every photo was of she had Baba's 5 perfect masters. She had photos of them. I can't see well enough myself to know which one it is. This one right here, this photo is still there today. And it's still in that same, this is Jesus. And this is it's not a photo, it's like a rendering, it's a painting. It's of Jesus. And some of these photos, I don't know what happened to them, but this one is still there today. These other ones, they must be some of, like, they could be Ramakrishna. They're perfect masters in history. Because Meher Baba told her to do that, to put up the pictures of all the perfect masters. So you see here, she's got prayers and photos of perfect ones. So she would have, today we have one of Krishna, we don't have Buddha in the room, but we have Jesus, we have Krishna, I'm sorry, I don't have the today photo
Okay,
of the room
okay. So just that
Yeah.
one photo remains of the originals.
that I know,
Okay.
of.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
The
Thank
other photos, I really don't know where they are, but many photos have disappeared, unfortunately. And we're preserving whatever we can, like this lamp here. Upasni Maharaj told Gulmai to keep this lamp burning in my absence, and I will be there. And so our Janice, Mother C, has taken that up, and she put, there was a lamp that there wasn't a lamp there. And when she read that Upasni said to do that, she purchased a lamp and keeps it lit all the time in the same way. And we did the same thing in the Ahmednagar Center. We have a lamp. And when we're not there, Asha and Sudam, who took care of Khorshed, keep that lamp lit. Okay, so there's going to be a beautiful story about this room that I'm trying to stay relatively in sequence of how things happened. So I'll go forward and I'll come back to this room of what happened in this room. So there was one important event that happened at Khushru Quarters, and that was in 1923. In May 1923, the marriage of the oldest son of Khushru and Gulmai, that's Rustam, and his bride Franey. You can tell that they're the bride and the groom because they've got these, they're decorated with all the garlands. And this is a typical Zoroastrian wedding of a prominent Zoroastrian family. The means the people that were really, important in the community would come from Mumbai, they would come from Pune, and they would bring all their family members. So I think somewhere in here is maybe our little Money was here, Money
That's-
Irani.
No, that's her. This is her.
That's what I was thinking. That might
Yeah.
be her. Yeah, she looks more simple than the others, doesn't she? Not decorated up as much. Yeah, it does look like our Money. And she would have come with maybe a relative or something, would have brought little Money. This in here, this building is a very, very important building that's standing today. It's the Parsi Argadi, or the fire temple for the Zoroastrians. And here, it almost looks like a ghost, doesn't it? This white, that might have been the priest standing in the background. And we've done a lot of research, and Janice has even, been closer than most of us inside this place, because only Zoroastrians are allowed into the inner, most important room. But this is where the actual marriage would have happened. And then they got Gulmai told Upasni, and she told Meherabad, this marriage is not going forward unless, because it was a long process of finding a proper girl. The girl had to be of the right stature. The girl had to be, according to Gulmai, she had to be inclined toward God. And Khushru wanted her also inclined toward prosperity. So, everybody had to be satisfied. And they would go through girls, and quite honestly, Rustam got quite fed up because many of them were saying, no, Rustam's not wealthy enough for me. And like that. And so they would reject him for that reason. And as you can see, he was very handsome. So it wasn't because of his looks. But finally, the family settled on Franey, who happened to be the sister of Baba's Mehera. And this was before no, 1923, Mehera was already with Baba. So it was settled. But Gulmai said, it's not settled, she said to her husband. It is not settled until both of you approve of him. And I have to go back. I'm sorry, this is my bad habit. I don't have this story down exactly in sequence. So now I'm remembering I didn't tell you a very important thing, that Meher Baba spent those 4 years, and in 4 years, most of the time with Upasni at his ashram. And at the ashram, we know that Baba became completely balanced human man, and was already 100% God. So Baba became perfect man and perfect God in Upasni's care. And during that time, when he finished his work with Meher Baba, he said to Gulmai, he said, now I want you to listen to Meherwan. If Meherwan tells you something, you do exactly as he said. I have given the key, I have turned the key, and I have given my treasure to Meherwan. And Upasni also told his Mandali this, his own Mandali, his own, like Gustaji, who joined Meher Baba. That was the time at which they joined Baba, because Upasni ordered them to join Baba because he held the key now. So they didn't question, they obeyed him. And Gulmai was given this message that you obey by Upasni, that now you obey Meherwan. So when this decision about the marriage came, a very interesting dilemma happened. And when Gulmai went to Upasni, he said, no, it's not a good match. I want someone else. I don't like this girl. And she went to Meher Baba, and he said, perfect match. Perfect. This is the perfect match. And you've looked a long ways and you've come to the perfect girl. I'm very happy. So what was Gulmai to do? It was really a dilemma. And I thought about this, and I thought, I sort of, really talked to Baba a lot about this, and she must have really gone to her prayer room and tried to work out, what should I do here? But then, that instruction from Upasni that you follow Meherwan, must have tipped Gulmai over the edge, because for her, it was all about obedience. And so she obeyed both her masters by going with Meher Baba's choice. And that was how they decided on Franey. So it wasn't an easy decision for Gulmai, not at all. And she had to struggle with her husband too, and make sure everyone was happy. But they were, and the match went ahead, and here's the result. But the pre-wedding ceremony happened at Khushru Quarters. And at Khushru Quarters, so we're at Khushru Quarters, and this is where the ceremony, I'm just going to show you a picture of there. There we go. So the wedding happened here at Khushru Quarters. This is Khushru Quarters today. But the wedding, you can imagine, it was filled up with people, and they all came from Mumbai, they came from Pune, and it was a big social event. And who was cooking and serving? It was Meher Baba's band of Mandali. And I had one picture. Betty says, oh, don't show this picture. It's, yeah, well, anyway, it's a really funny picture. So I'm going to, can you see that?
Yeah. Let's see.
Yeah,
if I can-
the band of they almost look like hooligans, you know. But so they were there, and then these refined Zoroastrians were there from Mumbai, Pune, and this was the people that were cleaning up after people, serving the tea, cooking the food, running around, serving and doing all of the servants' jobs. This band of Mandali of Meher Baba. And Meher Baba, this is Meher Baba in 1923. That's what he looked like. So,
Right.
yeah. So, so just so you can visualize it. So there we are. And that elder Khushru, who you saw in that family tree, he was kind of the ringleader of saying, you know, I don't like this. He was started to say horrible and rude things about Meher Baba and who he was, and the Upasni Maharaj. These people, they have no right to be attending this, and he was really upset our beloved Baba. He got very, and we all know that in those days, in 1923, Meher Baba was in his fiery life, and he was very, very strong, and he could express apparent anger. And so that's exactly what happened. And this was the pre-wedding ceremony where they have ring ceremony, they have this and they have that, you know, in these big weddings. And it takes quite a few days to actually end up in that photo where I showed you at the fire temple. So all that was happening here. And Meher Baba said, I'm not attending this wedding. I'm leaving, and because this is not the right thing that's happening here with all of this bad energy, this bad talk against himself and against Upasni Maharaj. So Meher Baba just picked up and just stormed out that gate, and he started walking, and he gestured to his mandali to come. And so they were cooking, and you know, they were doing different tasks, but they always had one eye looking at their master, and they probably called each other, so they all went racing out the gate to catch up with Merwan, who, as we know, in those days, he had long stride and he was a very, very fast walker. It was reported that one of the mandali even ran out without shoes, and he ran out that gate on the 4th of May, 1923. And he walked and he walked, and they thought he was walking to the railway station. But they didn't, of course, they never questioned him. But when he came to that corner of where you go straight to the railway station or you turn left to go to Arangown, he turned left and he went toward Arangown. Gulmai had told Meher Baba that my husband owns a property in Arangown, and one day you might like it. But she wanted to show it to him, and he'd never been out there with her. So he walked, but miraculously, as we all know, he stopped at that well under that neem tree. And he said, this is a good place. He said to his mandali, we will rest here for the night. And so they did. And in the meantime, and that was what became our Meherabad. And that was the moment that we just celebrated. Just before I came to America, we celebrated that 100 years since Meher Baba put his foot on the Meherabad property. And it also happened to be the same spot as another saint. Where is he? Oh, whoops. See, these photos are never in the right order. I put them in the right order. There's a Saint Gilori Shaw, who had said to Gulmai, he was he loved Gulmai very much. This shows you the stature of Gulmai, that this fifth plane saint, who had served Queen Victoria and cooked for him. And later on, he became an Ayurvedic doctor. And we took photos of his pharmacy it's still standing today, his pharmacy where he practiced. He was a saint, and he would just roam around the streets of Ahmednagar. But every day he would come to Gulmai's home to be fed, and Gulmai would feed him. He would not eat if Gulmai did not feed him. And so that tells you that he was onto something. He knew that Gulmai was truly a great soul. Another thing about Gulmai, Upasni Maharaj said to Gulmai, "You are worthy of God realization." And I did not know that. And then later, Baba Merwan, who was called Merwan at the time, soon around the time that Upasni handed Gulmai over to Meher Baba's charge, Meher Baba said, "You are like Babajan." And she said, "Oh, no, how can you say such a thing?" Because she was veiled. She had no experience. And he said to her, "You are Babajan." Merwan said, "You are Babajan." So who knows what that means in God's language? I have no idea. But the fact is that this Gilori Shaw was onto something, Upasni Maharaj was onto something, and our Gulmai was not an ordinary woman, even though to our eyes she looked normal. I mean, she looked like an ordinary person. So Gilori Shaw spent a lot of time at that trust compound at Khushru Quarters. Marinath Kalchuri remembers Gilori Shaw coming there, and no, sorry. He didn't remember him because he was already dead. It was Gage Maharaj came to the trust compound and was cleaning garbage from the ground of the quarters, of the Khushru Quarters. So many saints and great ones came to that Khushru Quarters, and Gilori Shaw also came there. He was the one, as we all know, he heralded in that this place that later became known as Meherabad, this will be the place of the greatest, the highest of the high will make his seat here, and all Sadhgurus will come to this place. So that's where I want my tomb. And he kept pestering Gulmai to ask her husband to make his tomb there. And finally, Khushru did agree, because Khushru, even though he didn't have direct feeling for Upasni and for Meher Baba, he had much respect for them. And in an indirect way, he had love for them because he knew how much his wife loved them. And he wanted to keep his wife. He loved his wife and he wanted to keep her happy. So eventually he did build the tomb there at Meherabad. And on that day, on the 4th of May, 1923, when Merwan went there with his band of Mandali, there was a tomb there. So that's the long story. Okay. So I'm going back to see. Okay. So then what happened, this Rustam became very, very upset that Meher Baba had left his wedding. And he got on his motorbike and left his own marital celebration ceremony, and he started searching here and there. And he searched and searched. He didn't know where Meherabad had gone, but he knew he went to the right side. So he started searching that side. And it took him quite a long time. But eventually he ended up at his family's own land, which today is known as Meherabad, by the well and by the neem tree. There they were. And he fell at Meherababa's feet. And Rustam said, please, please. They were still calling, let's see, was he Meherabad by then? In 1923? I think he had been called Meherabad by now. But so he just begged him to please come back to the wedding. I will not marry this girl unless you're there. It's so critical that you're there and that I get your blessing. And so Baba's heart was touched by his pleading, and he did come back. He came back, but he did not enter Khushru Quarters. He said, I will go to your house at Sarosh Mansal, which both he and Upasni, oh, another story. Both he and Upasni had opened that house. And I'm sorry, I don't have the picture of that house, but it's a 3-story house. And the very, very top had a little, they called it the bird's room. It was a little room at the very, very top on the 3rd or 4th floor. And that's where Meherabad had stayed. Upasni Maharaj stayed on the ground floor, but Meherabad stayed at the top. And when he came back from the wedding, Meherabad was able to look right into the compound from that little room. He could see the whole wedding. And we recently, Marinath Kalchuri has taken Janice, myself, and some other Ahmednagar Center members to the location of that room, the exact location. And I took a picture of the house that's there today, but it's not the same house. And the streets were quite close, so it didn't have a grand, it was quite a congested area, but that little room at the top looked right into the compound. So Meherabad did attend the wedding. He was watching, he was there. He just didn't want to come back into the fire of those Zoroastrian tempers and go through all that again. So it lasted, this says 9th of May. So it started on 4th and it finished at this place on the 9th of May in the fire temple, which is also close to the Sarosh Mansal that was just over the wall. They're all very, very close to the Khushru Quarters. So the wedding went ahead and they were married. Jai Baba.
Joanna, I wonder
Yes.
if you can tell the story of why Mehera was not there.
Yes, thank you, Betty, for prompting me. Yeah, Mehera, of course, wanted to, I mean, she was really torn. She wanted to attend her sister's wedding, but her beloved Meherabad was not really wanting her to attend. What the information that Meherabad had actually was that there was a suitor. There was someone who was absolutely dead keen on marrying Mehera. He had seen who she was. She was so beautiful. She had such a beautiful spirit, and he wanted to marry her. And he was attending this wedding. I can't point him out in this picture, but he's there. He's one of these Parsi gentlemen that came to this wedding. And Meherabad arranged for Mehera to have, let's see, was it her knee, Betty? Yeah. She had a crippled knee at the time. She was unable to move. and she had to remain at Sakori. And so she did not attend her own sister's wedding, you know, and we came to find out afterwards that there was a suitor there. And if she had attended, it would have created a terrible situation for Mehera and the family, and it would have been a big to-do. So she just didn't attend. She wasn't well. And Baba kept her for pure and not troubled by that for himself. Thank you for reminding me of that. See how our beloved just weaves this whole story just to make it happen the way that he wanted. So the fact that Baba underwent this terrible opposition also must mean that he wanted it. Even though he stormed out in apparent anger, he wanted all of that to happen for his own purposes. And he's always told us that he uses opposition for our benefit.
Also, previously, I think it was at when the women were at Meherabad in the, was it East Room? There was a time when the women were talking about Mehera marrying, and Baba was present, and I think they kind of went around the room and came to Mehera, and she said, "I don't want to marry," and Baba said, responded to it and said, "See, she does not want to marry enough." So he kind of sealed the deal. This was previous to the wedding, the
Okay.
wedding.
In the East Room, Betty?
I don't know.
No, couldn't have been in the East Room because they weren't at Meherabad at that time.
Okay.
They
Yeah,
only
it was-
came to Meherabad at the time of the wedding. So
Yeah,
yeah.
it was
And-
after the
yeah.
wedding. After the wedding, the women came because they heard about this engagement thing. They came to Baba, all the women, all the aunts, and the women came to Baba when he was in Meherabad, in Lower Meherabad. And they said about the marriage, and should we marry, and should we agree, and should then? And Baba said, why don't you ask her if she wants? And so they all turned to her, and she said, I don't want to ever get married. I don't want to marry. And so he said, so leave her alone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I believe
Yeah.
that post office, the women were in the post office. No, they wouldn't have been, that would, never mind.
That
No,
not at this time that I'm talking about, not 1923. As Mikhail is saying, it happened after. Yeah. Okay. So now we're just, these are Baba's really early years. Okay. So then the next story I want to tell you is let's see if I'm missing anything. Baba. Yeah, here in the compound, it's important to point out these trees. This tree where I'm showing you right now was a soap nut tree. When we do the tour, we always take people right under this tree, and right here is a flagpole, and the Ahmednagar Center on Baba's birthday raises Baba's flag on this pole under this tree, because this tree was the tree that Baba used to sit under. And even Meherabad Kalchuri remembers Baba would talk to people under this tree. He would sit under the tree, and you would be able to get a little private or semi-private conference with Baba under this tree. And over here on this side is a big neem tree. It doesn't show up very well, but we've got Baba's picture on it. Right now we have a photo here, a photo here, and a photo here outside the trust compound. We put them up in special occasions, and people love them so much. We just leave them in all weather, and if they wear out, then we're going to put up new ones, because it's so lovely to see Baba's face in the outside in the compound. Because as you can see, it's a very outdoor kind of feeling. The rooms are all in this compound structure. But this tree, this neem tree, our little Katie and Goher were two of the inmates that lived here with their families at one time. And don't ask me how they're related. They are. They're related on Sarosha's side, and they're related. There's a relation there. And Katie and Goher stood under this tree, and Meher Baba performed their thread ceremony, their Kushti Navjot ceremony. That is very important. It's the coming of age for a child in the Zoroastrian religion. And usually Baba doesn't care about rituals or anything, but there was must have been some significance of why they needed to have that ceremony performed. And it was performed right here under this tree when they were small children, age 12 or 13, 14, something like that. Okay, and here is the place where Meherabad says that Gage Maharaj would clean, excuse me, clean the Ketra. And it looks like there's a lot of leaves and things that need to be cleaned here. So where is Gage Maharaj when we need him? And he would explain that he was cleaning our Ketra. In the Sadhguru doing this task, this lowly task of cleaning the ground, he was cleaning the sanskars for all of us, doing Meher Baba's work that he had given him. And he gave him so much. Meher Baba gave this particular sixth plane saint so much of his work, he shared in it, that there came a time when he begged Meher Baba to just let him go, let him drop the body. And even that was down to Meher Baba when the right time was.
What is that word? Ketra? What does that mean?
Ketra means garbage in Hindi. And sorry that our photo shows a lot of it. It's just debris from the leaves. And every morning our sweepers are supposed to sweep this up. But this particular shot looks like it may be evening. So by that time, the leaves have littered the place again. Okay.
What is that? Is it a well, or what is that structure?
This was a fountain. And because it stopped working, we had to cover it. And so this was the best that we could come up with, is just to cover it like this. And on special occasions, we put flowers and things on this little, this is the well, the fountain spout comes from here. Okay, so the next event that I wanted to share with you is in 1937. We go back to the prayer room because, no, I'm going to go back to the gate. Outside this gate, as I shared with you, there's a walkway, and it's a driveway, just a dirt gravel driveway. That's how you get into the compound. And Adi, it was Baba's birthday in 1937, and it was the birthday according to the Zoroastrian calendar, not February 25th, where we all celebrate. It was a little different day. And so every year it's a different day on the Zoroastrian calendar. But in 1937, Meher Baba was out of station. He was in Bangalore. So he told all his mandali that, oh, I'm not celebrating my birthday today. And do we have enough time? I want to just check with Betty. What is the time we're supposed to stop? I can't hear you, Betty.
I think we have at least another hour. I'll check, Joanna.
Okay. So 1937, Baba said, I don't want you to celebrate my birthday. He told all his mandali, and Adi K had taken that that time to come to the compound to visit his mother Gulmai, and he was living with the Mandali at Meherabad. And he came with Pendu, and they did some shopping in the bazaar, and they had finished. So they were going out this gate, and just as they went out the gate, they saw someone coming in another car, and it was a car like this. And this car drove in to the compound, and inside they saw this semi-naked man, and Pendu recognized him, and he started shouting. He said, "Upasni Maharaj has come, Upasni Maharaj has come." He shouted at the top of his lungs so that everyone in the compound would come out to greet him. And he drove his car to this spot right here. That's where he stopped. And as it turns out, later on in 1954, I'm going to tell you about, Meher Baba had darshan in this spot. He had darshan in 54, and in 1960, inside this little veranda, he was sitting for a second darshan. So Upasni Maharaj blessed that spot by stepping down on exactly, see how these tricky, Mandali, I mean, these Sadhgurus, they know everything in advance. They know everything that happened before. And he just decided, well, this is a good spot to get out of the car right here. He was on his way along this veranda here to, can you still see the mouse? Yeah, okay. So there's the prayer room, that Gulmai's prayer room that she had already given over to Upasni and given to Meher Baba. It was now Meher Baba and Upasni Maharaj's prayer room. She said, "It belongs to you. You need no permission to come." So our Sadhguru Upasni Maharaj just came down at that spot and went right into that prayer room. So here we are. And so Upasni Maharaj, Gulmai was not praying. She was also in the group watching Upasni Maharaj come in. And what usually happened when Upasni Maharaj would visit is he would sit right in this place on one of his gunny sacks. And in fact, oh, it looks like there's a trunk. No, it's not that, it's because of the photo. It looks like there's a trunk here, but I'm talking about this place right here. He would sit there on the, he wouldn't sit on the carpet. He would sit on a gunny sack. And today we have that gunny sack on the wall. The archives has restored it. So when you come to Khushru Quarters to Meherabad, you all must come and feel the beautiful presence of beloved Baba from this room. People come and they are in this room and they feel so much presence of beloved Baba that it truly makes them weep. Just the infusion of the love that they feel in this room, it makes them well up with tears. And Upasni Maharaj came and he sat in this place here. And he in this time, he was not sitting. This time he was standing on his gunny sack. And Gulmai and Adike and Pendu and anyone else that was in the compound, the servants or anyone else that had been notified by Pendu's shouting that Upasni was there, they came. And Upasni said to them, he gestured for them to come inside. And they came inside and they stood beside him and he said, "Let us pray." And so he folded his hands and there was a picture of Meher Baba on the wall. And I don't know which picture is Meher Baba, but I believe it was in this place. So this might have been the picture. I don't believe it's this one. I'm not sure, but there was a picture of Meher Baba on the wall, and they were praying to that picture. Upasni was praying to his disciple. And Adike got a bit of a shock at that time. He thought, wow, the Sadhguru is praying to his disciple. He knew that Meher Baba was God realized, but that's what he knew. He didn't know his stature. You know, Baba shared with us that there's many God realized souls, so he didn't know where he was in.
Joanna,
yes.
something changed with your sound. It's a little rough. I don't know if you maybe moved a mic or something.
Can you hear me better now?
It's a little rough.
Okay, I'm going to take off this. Maybe the battery's low. I'm just turning off the Bluetooth.
No.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, no.
Okay, just a minute.
Maybe original sound will help? No,
Oh, no.
it was okay until now.
Yeah, just, I don't know what happened. Moving in a direction.
Okay, there. Yes. Okay, now you can hear me.
No, I mean, it's not well.
You can't hear me well?
No.
Okay, then I'm going to plug in a computer because the battery's getting a little low. Oh dear, sorry.
That's okay.
Wow, what stories, amazing stories.
Wonderful. This has been so wonderful, Joanna.
Yeah. This room is so beautiful in the picture.
Sanober says that the picture in the oval is Zoroaster.
Yeah, right,
It looks like
right.
it.
But the picture on top where she said, I think it's Baba standing, but Baba
Yes.
is also the one in the front, one in the front, close to us, leaning on the pillow. That's Baba.
I think also the picture that's in what looks like it could be a window frame, the one at the very top, I think that's Baba.
Oh yeah, that's right. And
Mm.
Upasni Maharaj is on the end of the bed there. So beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is Upasni at the bottom right of that window space?
Upasni Maharaj on the right.
Bottom right.
I don't know. I can't see it. It's
Sometimes
very,
just the form of the picture gives you an idea.
yeah, but Upasni is on the bed at the back with a big picture.
Oh, yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Boy, you all have sharp eyes.
No, but doesn't
No.
that look like the same picture that's down there in the bottom right of the
Oh, it does.
of the window?
Which-
I'm calling it a window space. I don't know what else to call it.
Oh, yeah, right.
It does
Right,
look like the
Same
same.
one. And maybe it's Baba at his feet, maybe? No, I don't know.
But that's Zoroaster again in the window next to Upasni with the little stainless steel.
Wait, can you hear me?
Yes.
Better,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Where are you saying, where's Upasni?
We're looking
Right here?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Upasni, and also maybe on the window there in the big picture in the back, leaning on there. Yeah, that
This one?
That's
Okay.
what he's,
Wow, what good eyes.
and Baba is in the front here, leaning on the pillow, front bed, leaning
Yeah,
on the
I
pillow.
think it's the same picture.
Yeah.
It's the same picture.
Yeah.
This is definitely Baba.
Yeah, absolutely
That's
Baba.
Meher Baba.
And someone
Wow.
said that it is Baba in the window on the top, and it maybe
Yes,
it's
that's Baba. And that
Yeah.
picture is there today also.
Mm.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, boy, I can see better without my glasses. This is Baba too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is 1920, 21 or whatever it was.
And
Yeah.
you say that picture is there today, the same.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. that picture's there, that picture's there. I think Adi tried to keep the pictures, but you know, things happened. Yeah, that is Meher Baba.
I'm
And
so
look, Gulmai's looking at Meher Baba, isn't she?
Next small picture is Zoroaster.
This one, yes.
Is that Zoroaster also on the far right with the two?
Here?
No,
Yeah.
no, that's not
No.
him.
so,
Zoroaster is really with a white cap and long hair. This has
You
no
mean
white.
here?
This one, no, she was meaning the big one.
This big one. No, I don't think that's Zoroaster.
Okay.
turban,
And yeah.
turban.
So really good good spotting there.
So wonderful we can hear you, Joanna. I sure didn't want to stop.
No, it's okay.
Good, good.
This is it's important. I have something I need to read to you too. So I'm glad you stopped me, because in this story there was something I had to get my hands on. So Baba stopped me at exactly the right time to do this plug-in thing, and you had a chance to really study the room.
Yeah.
Perfect. Because I'm hoping to have you all really feel that you are here in this room, because it's Ted Judson has done a renovation. Bless Ted for all the great work he's done in all the Baba's places. This room has been renovated, and he even put the grass, the matted ceiling back, you know. He you know, fixed the room to try to keep it as authentic and as much like it was in Baba's time, which this picture is Baba's time. And we're really fortunate that we have this picture to be able to understand that. Because as I said, now Adi K put many pictures of Baba. And the interesting thing is he starts on this wall over here on the left with Baba, young Baba, and Baba's father, Shariar and Shireen Mai, and the whole family. And then Baba in his state of not quite the perfect man yet, but the perfect God, you know, in his fiery state. And all these pictures go all the way around the room. And from starting in chronological order, he moved them along the room. So imagine that we have Upasni Maharaj standing here praying to Meher Baba's picture, which would be this picture, or it could be another picture. We're not 100% sure what was here in 37. But he's praying, and Adi K wrote this story up, and he, in his heart, he was saying to himself, how can this be? You know, who must Meher Baba be if his master is praying to his disciple? But what happened next was even more profound than saying the prayer. What happened next was Upasni Maharaj asked Gulmai to bring a puja tray for saying arti. And she rushed out the room, and she had it all ready, because she always had her arti tray ready. She brought it back to Upasni. We keep it here on this little shelf here today. We keep a replica. It's not the same actual vessel that she brought, you know, but it's a little lamp, it's incense, it's maybe some sweet, some prasad. So she brought the arti tray, and Upasni Maharaj stood in front of Meher Baba's photo, and he performed the arti that he wrote for Meher Baba in this room in 1937. And when that happened, Bao wrote a poem about it, and it's in Lord Meher. And if I may, I'd like to read it to you. So Bao said, what the Sadhguru does, he does for the whole universe. Through the body and mind of Upasni Maharaj, the whole universe worshipped Meher Baba's birthday. The ocean wished to worship the embodied ocean. An ocean expressed its love for the embodiment of the ocean. Were all the drops in the whole of creation to offer worship to the ocean, it could not compare with this type of worship done with the love of a Sadhguru for the avatar. Glory be to Sadhguru Upasni Maharaj, King of Yogis. Glory to you, Avatar Meher Baba, King of Kings. Jai Baba.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah, so that happened in this room. So please come. When you come to India, don't forget the little, what used to be the Lost Orphan, which is of Baba's places, as now becoming a prominent stop for pilgrims. Please come and enjoy these places. Now, Baba, Baba. So here's a wonderful photo of Mother Gulmai with her beloved Meher Baba in the 1950s. And this is, you can hear me fine?
Yes, just
Okay,
fine.
good. So this is in the 1950s, and I don't recall the exact day that she died, but this was soon before she died. In fact, Meher Baba, look at the beautiful garland that she gave to him. You can see clearly that's something she must have placed around him. And I love this photo because look how happy he is, and look at how happy she is. There's the contentment, the love between the two. And I encourage all of you to read her diary, because really you come to understand why Meher Baba called her, I mean, not called her, but that she was his spiritual mother. And he explained to Gulmai when he told her, you are my mother, my spiritual mother, that every avatar has a spiritual mother and you are it. And in her diary, she speaks very humbly, but she doesn't dispute what her master says. She's not saying, oh, no, no, no. She's accepting, if he says something, it's the truth. But she's saying it in almost a detached way, because almost all of her life, she had no experience. But apparently toward the end, she did. She started seeing visions and things were happening for her. But she still didn't make much of it. She was just so ground down to dust by this time that it didn't mean, it didn't mean much. But she was quite ill, and nobody knew that the day that Meher Baba came to see her was going to be her last day. And it was close to this time of this photo that was their last meeting. And it was the day before Gulmai actually expired. And when she dropped the body, Meher Baba did something quite miraculous that we don't know of him doing for anyone else. He instructed his mandali that where he wanted her tomb, and it was to be up near where Shariar, his father, and Shireen Mai, his mother, were, up next to Baba's samadhi. And Baba himself placed her ashes inside the tomb, and he threw a rose into the tomb. And I think there was a picture of her there inside too, but it landed on her lips. The rose landed on Gulmai's lips. So like she was giving him the last kiss.
That's
know.
precious.
Yeah.
Precious.
Yeah. And so that's why in the story, I've come to just feel so incredibly close to Gulmai because of her love for Meher Baba. And it was because of her love that her entire family came to Baba. Then another member of her family, her husband Khushru, throughout his whole life, he did not, he respected Meher Baba and he respected Khushru and he loved them in an indirect way, but he didn't really get it, that who they were. But Khushru, after his mother went to Baba, Khushru had his own awakening, and Meher Baba revealed himself to him, and he realized that he was indeed Zoroaster, that he was indeed the avatar, and he had that experience of that love, which all of us have also been blessed to have from Baba. But Khushru was now old and Gulmai was not alive. And he was so sad. He was so distraught. All my life, I've been opposing this man, but not like his father, but still, I wasn't really loving him in the way that he was due. And now, only now am I, understanding who he is. And he felt so badly that his wife Gulmai didn't know that he came to love Baba, and he felt extremely badly about his son, who he was criticizing. He wanted him to be a businessman and this and that, but Meher Baba had said to Gulmai, I want you to do something for me. I want you to give me 2 of your children. And so Meher Baba, Gulmai gave who Meher Baba asked for. He asked for Adi and he asked for Dolly, and neither of them ever married. And Dolly became sort of must-like. Some people say must-like, some people say mentally ill. We don't know, because we don't know we don't have the experience to know the truth. But Dolly would, one story about daughter Dolly was Adi Senior, Adi K, came to her and said, Dolly, get ready, Baba's coming, he's coming now to the compound, and so make yourself ready. And she looked at him. What are you talking about? She said, he's here now. Don't you see him? He's here right now. He's here with us now. He's right there. And so apparently Dolly was seeing Meher Baba all the time. And Adi didn't know that. So these are the people that stayed at this place. So I think you're starting to get an appreciation of this place is really a treasure. It's filled with treasure. And here's our Gulmai and Baba himself. You heard that, Betty, that Baba threw the rose into her tomb, and the rose landed on Gulmai's, the photo of Gulmai on her lips.
Thank you.
Yeah. That Baba threw the rose. Baba himself threw the rose in. And that going for Gulmai's burial was the last time that Baba ever went to Meherabad. He never went to Meherabad again. He was at so this was in the, I think she passed in the 60s. And I'm not sure of the date, but it was in the 60s. And that was the last time that Baba ever went there. So, okay. So here we are. So coincidentally, where they're standing is that spot that I told you was the darshan spot. And Meher Baba had performed a darshan in 1954. But I have to tell you a story that comes before the 54 darshan. It was, there was a cricket ground in Ahmednagar, and the cricket ground was called Wardia Park. Baba's Mandali organized a big darshan at Wardia Park, and they invited Gage Maharaj, who was a six-plane saint who I talked about earlier. He was the one, I'm sorry I don't have a photo, but he dressed in all rags. He just had all rags, and his headdress was all sort of tattered. And he was a stout man. He was a big man, but he was a six-plane saint. And he had a big following of disciples. And he apparently had many dharamshalas where people stayed in his name, because people would give him land and he never kept it. So he gave it to his lovers, and he gave them the money to keep these dharamshalas running. So even today in India, there's a number of dharamshalas, means like a hostel, and people can go and you can stay in these Gage Maharaj dharamshalas. And I've been to one in what is it? Pandapur. I went to one in Pandapur, and there's a famous statue of Krishna or Ram in that city. Oh, so many amazing things, because Baba came and he bowed down to that statue of Ram in Pandapur, where Gage Maharaj has one of his hostels. So Gage Maharaj invited all his mandali and invited all of his followers to this big darshan that Meher Baba was giving. And this was sort of, this was in 1954. And it was the largest gathering that Meher Baba ever performed in Ahmednagar, the largest darshan. And there were so many people. There were over 100,000 people came to this darshan. Can you imagine? You know, the cricket ground was full, and they all got a chance. There, let's see. So there. This is a photo of the darshan. This is the darshan in Khushru Quarters. But there was one young boy. This is not the boy, but he was about that age. There was one young boy from Arangown village whose whole family was going to this cricket ground in Wardia Park for Meher Baba's blessing. This little boy had heard that Meher Baba was a magician, so he was bent on being able to see the magician, and he wanted to go like anything. His parents said, "No, you're too young. You absolutely cannot go. You must go to school." So he went to school, and then he asked his teacher, "Can I go? Can I go?" And the teacher said no. He asked his teacher again and again and again. 4 times he asked, and finally, after the 4th time, he left his school, and he started walking from Arangown to Ahmednagar to the cricket ground. That was a long walk for a little boy like this to make, but he did it. And he got there. And by the time he got there, it was already 6 o'clock, and the sun was going down. And he thought, oh, I've missed him. I'll never get a chance to see him. I walked all this way. I'll never be able to see him. And he looked up, and there was Meher Baba on a car, and he was waving to all of the people. He was on top of a car. And you remember in the beautiful film of Meher Baba's Call, you see Baba on the car and you see the halo all around Baba, the light of the sun going down, and it created a halo around Baba. You remember that? Yeah. So that's what this boy saw. And he saw his miracle because he saw like a halo around Meher Baba. And he said he'll never look at me because there's 100,000 people here. He'll never see me. I'm so small. And he was really kind of upset. He could see him, but he thought he'll never look at me. And then he got it. He got a glimpse from Baba, looked right directly at that boy, and his little heart was struck. He didn't know who he was, but he was feeling love like anything. So he had to see him again. And there were others that didn't get a chance to get Baba's prasad because there were of Baba's lovers that could not get his prasad. And in 1954, this darshan was the same time as the East-West gathering, you know, when Darwin came and all of that band of Westerners that came for the 3 incredible weeks. So Baba decided he'd have a more intimate darshan. So he had it at the trust compound in that spot where I showed you, in that corner where Upasni Maharaj got down from his car, and right in that corner near the seclusion room and the corner where you go to Bao's office. So we have determined that the exact spot, because of eyewitness and this little boy remembered the exact spot too, where Baba gave darshan. And he had a chair behind him. This is Baba sitting on the step in front of his chair. And he came down so that he could do such things as embracing the children in the darshan. So 7,000 people got darshan from Baba and got prasad, including this little boy. So yeah, so this is the darshan spot right here where Baba's walking away from it. This is not the day of the darshan because there were so many people. But so this is right where they set up his dais, right here on the veranda. And this leads into the office, which is today the accounting office for the trust. So let's see, I want to make sure you see, yeah. And remember I told you that there was a window that Baba used to like to sit and look out. And this is covered by something for the photo, but usually it was open. And this is the window that Baba would look out, this window here. And there was this couch here. And in that one picture, there's Baba on that leopard skin or whatever, the spotted tiger, or maybe it was a tiger. Yeah, was it striped? That picture of Baba. Do you have it, Mikhail?
Yeah, it's a tiger. Yeah, it's a tiger.
It's
yeah.
a tiger. Okay. So they put that on this couch. This is the very couch at Khushru Quarters. And then here's a close-up of Baba in the same spot. So he spent a lot of time here, and he used to take rest here and sometimes would interview here. But this was actually Adi K's bedroom, this room. So here's Baba walking out, and yeah. So there was also a second darshan that took place in this spot, and it took place on this veranda back here. And at that darshan in 1960, 10,000 people came. 10,000 people. Now, we didn't think it was possible for 10,000 people to be in the compound, but what happened was, where I showed you the gate, the front gate to the compound, the people were coming in from here, and they were in a long queue going out to the road. And so they would come in on this left side, take Baba's darshan in this spot, and then they would walk around and they would come out this way. So it was all organized in an orderly manner, but the people got rowdy that day, and the Mandali were quite worried that something was going to happen, that there would, there would be a riot, because the people were pushing, and the Mandali were so few. But by Baba's grace, nothing catastrophic happened. But there was one special guest that day, and he was a cricket. He was a cricket star. He played Test cricket, which is the highest, league of cricket for India. And India is crazy about cricket. Still today they are. And this particular fellow's name was Contractor. And believe it or not, he's still alive. He lives in Mumbai, and he remembers this vividly. So he was there, and I think it was either Padri or Pendu. I think it was Pendu, asked Baba, "Oh, Baba, can't you make him captain?" They never asked Baba for anything. They never requested a thing. They were trained, they were ground into stone, as you all know. But this, they asked Baba to make him captain of the cricket team. And after the darshan, somehow, some way, it did happen, and he became captain of the cricket team, and he was very, very popular. But the poor fellow, I think he played only one more game after that. After he was captain, he played one more match, and he had a catastrophic injury. And the people that came to meet him, I didn't get a chance to meet him, but they asked him that question: "Did you blame Meher Baba that you became invalid after you became captain?" He says, "Oh no, never, never. He has protected me. He has helped me throughout my entire life, and I love him. And whatever he does is for our highest benefit." So he was not, beautifully, he was not upset that happened to him, because he was looking more toward the inner life. But that is what happens, as we all know, that, once you belong to him, then disaster comes. He likes to unwind your worldly life and wind up your inner life. And so things happen to you in Baba's world. There he is, smiling. He's very happy about that story. He thinks that's a good thing. So here's Baba walking out of the compound with his mandali. This is Sarosh. This is a good lead into then what happened in 59, just before, excuse me, the second darshan. In 1959, Mayor Baba said to the Ahmednagar Center members, the Baba lovers that lived in Ahmednagar were, they love Baba, and they used to come to Meherabad regularly to play for Baba. They were the Ahmednagar, bhajan group. So they would sing bhajans to Baba, and Baba enjoyed it a lot. But then one day he said to them, "You should have your own center." And so after Baba said that, they started meeting in other people's homes. And then Baba said, "Well, you should have your own place for gathering." And they said, "But Baba, we don't have much money. We don't have a place. What can we do?" And he said, "Don't worry, I will arrange." And so before 1959, Baba arranged for Adike to give a room in Khushru Quarters that was on the end of the compound. It was as you walk in to Khushru Quarters, as you walk into the gate, so the Ahmednagar Center is over here on the right side. Okay. So in 1959, Baba was in Gurupasad, and Baba sent a message. Oops. Okay, I'm got to tell the story of Money's office after. Baba sent a message to the Ahmednagar group, and it was an opening message. And well, it's a beautiful one, and I have it here, but we're kind of running. Oh, I've got it. Do you want me to read it?
Yes, we have another hour.
Okay.
One more.
So Baba sent this message, and in 59, he didn't come physically, but he sent this message. He says, I am happy to hear that my lovers at Nagar are inaugurating the Mehera Center at Khushru Quarters. Though it is true that my real center is the heart of the individual, it is helpful for my lovers to come together and think and talk about me, to discuss my teachings and messages, compare notes with each other, and cooperatively try to come closer to me in understanding and spirit. The one who does not seek my blessings and desires nothing from me, but to be able to obey me and serve me, it is my true lover. In view of my long stay at Meherabad and Meherabad, the Nagar Center has a special responsibility and a role to play. In future, when Meherabad and Meherabad become places of pilgrimage for my lovers all over the world will be rightly looking forward to the Nagar Meher Center for receiving my love and truth. It is therefore for you to have these from me by keeping yourself inner contact with me, and by bringing your lives in tune with my will, and by living in a manner that will inspire others to follow you in loving me. My Nazar, my blessings will be on, this is my favorite part of the whole message. My Nazar blessings will be on each one participating in the functions of the Nazar Meher Center, which no doubt will have a bright future, and rising up to the expectations which the world will naturally build up. May you all inherit my life eternal, my love and blessings to you. So when I do a tour, and when Janice does the tour, we always read this message, at least this paragraph about the Nagar Center having a bright future and rising up to the expectations which the world will naturally build up, because it was opened by beloved Baba, and it's in his home. It's actually in his home of Meherabad, today called Meherabad, in those days called Khushru Quarters. So Baba says his blessings are on everyone participating in the functions of the Ahmednagar Center. So since we're telling the story of the Ahmednagar Center, Meher Baba himself is giving each one of us his blessings, because he has said it's true. So what he says is true, and we're receiving his blessings this very moment. So I want to show you the outside of this center as I tell you a little bit more. Uh-oh, come on, where's the, where's my little arrow?
There it is.
I know, but it's okay, good. Thank you, Baba. Went right to the right picture.
Joanna,
Yes.
I'm confused. Is this picture, this building inside the Khushru Quarters compound? Or
No,
I didn't-
that little goat lives outside the compound, not inside. Yeah, our little goat here who like to travel around in this neighborhood. And this is the outside of it, and this dirt and little bit of gravel road is the road that leads up to the gate, and the gate is over here to get into the compound. It's right next to this entrance. Baba entered through this door. He also entered through the side door over here, and there's a third door farther down. And he entered in all those doors so that it just, I always tell people that because it feels wonderful that he put his energy through the entire building. And in the beginning, it was pretty small. And Baba gave his instructions to the Ahmednagar Center, and he told them to meet on Saturdays at 6:30 to 8:30. And they were, the group of people meeting did that in the beginning, and then they were finding some people had to work and they were coming late, and other people thought, oh, it would be better to have it on Sunday because more people will come if it's on a Sunday. So they got the bright idea. Baba was inviting them before they had their center. He was telling them to come to Meherabad and sing for him. So they got the bright idea. They'd asked for an audience with Baba at Meherabad and asked to change the date and the time. And so they did. And Baba said, oh, okay, good idea. But you do one thing for me. He said, you go to the bazaar and you purchase one key and you lock the door to the center. And they were shocked. Baba, what are you saying? Lock the door to the center. It's your center. We can't lock the door. And then Baba looked at them very sternly. And he says, whether you want to obey me or you want to have more people attend your meetings, what's the choice? And they said, oh, Baba, we want to obey you. And it was then that they realized the importance of Baba's order. I'm not aware of Baba giving such direct instructions to a center. He opened the Pune Center. He opened the Ahmednagar Center that has now been, it was mistakenly taken down. But and not Ahmednagar, the Erangown Center, Baba opened that also. But this center, the Ahmednagar Center, he gave instructions. And so now they happily always meet on Saturday. It's always, the meetings start at 6:30, whether there's people there or not. You know, there's usually one person to garland Baba, and then people come. So that's our Ahmednagar Center. But there's another story about the Ahmednagar Center. Meher Baba came in, it was 1962 when he came and gave darshan in the center. And but before he came, he said to his mandali Sarosh, Sarosh was, you know, he had made him into a king. He had the Sarosh petrol pump, he had the Sarosh motor works, he had the cinema, he had the Sarosh cinema, he had the canteen, he had been mayor of Ahmednagar. So he was like a king of Ahmednagar. And, but unfortunately, he had run into financial trouble at the time that Baba asked him to give more room for the Ahmednagar Center. And so this that you're looking at right now had once been the Sarosh Motors. And it was given to Baba for the Ahmednagar Center for the expansion. Sarosh happily gave it, but at that particular time, Sarosh was in financial difficulty, and Sarosh did not know how on earth he was going to be able to afford renovating the center for under Baba's order. And Baba said, never mind, it will happen. And happily it did happen. And Sarosh got very, very involved in renovating the center for Baba, and Baba found the money, and the center today is the same footprint as it was after Baba renovated it, and it's been expanded. And it has, this is the main part, this width is about the main part. And this side here is also, it's like an area for performers to change and things like that. And we do have people from all over the world performing and coming to the Nagar Center. So that's the story of the Nagar Center. And that was 1959, 1962. And that's usually, well, no, I have one more place to show you. This corner here is the office of our Mani Irani when she was chairman. And here she is inside that office with the map behind her. And she's got all kinds of sweet trinkets. She loves stamps. She liked to put a stamp on everything. She thought that was really great fun. And this map behind, I remember when I first went to this compound, and in fact, Adi K. Irani was the first Mandali I met. He was talking in Berkeley, California. So I guess I have a connection to this place, because Mani in 1972, 73, when I was first in India, took me in here and showed me how she put pins on the different countries and where the Baba lovers came from. So the first one, Mikhail, who was the first one from Israel?
Carrie Ben Shammai. Carrie Ben
Shammai.
Shammai, she met Baba in Delmonico, and she went with him on the plane to Myrtle Beach at 56, and she came again at 58, and she came again for the East-West gathering in Pune.
In Pune. So she did come again. And when she came to India, then Mani would have put a pin in the Israel location here. I've probably got my map. It's somewhere around there.
There, exactly there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's lovely to see. Now, every time I do a tour, there's often small children on the tour, and they're ever so sweet as they're going around to these places. They're so attentive, and they love that story I tell about the darshan with the little boy looking for a magician. I have the little children put their hands on that map, and they can feel all the little holes where all the pins were put in by Mani. Yeah. So Mani was chairman, and she was the second chairman. Kutumba Shastri was the first one. He left early, and that's a whole nother story. But Mani became chairman, and she had a long reign as the chairman. But she's the first one to tell you that she knew nothing about the world. She had come to Baba at such a young age. She knew nothing about the world. So she was perfect at greeting pilgrims, greeting Baba lovers. And she didn't even know, she showed me one time how one time she was meeting an official, and she just naturally sat on the floor, because that's the way it was with Baba. If it was someone important, of course you sat down on the floor, and the official is the one who sat in the chair. And it was quite humorous. Mani realized it was humorous in the world, but she didn't even understand that, and she was serving tea to the official, in his chair. That's our Mani. And she was so self-deprecating. She would tell those little stories of how she was just not of this world. And she grew to depend a lot on Baba's youngest Mandali, Bao. And of course, she always depended on Erich a lot. And Erich has a spot just outside Mani's office. It's on the veranda at the back. And Erich would sit outside on that veranda and he would do trust work, but he never wanted to be a trustee. And Baba gave him that choice, I guess, because he asked him, will you be a trustee? And Erich said, no, I don't wish to be a trustee. So Baba did not insist, and he was not a trustee. But there's a wonderful picture in this room. You'll have to come to India to see the picture of all the early Mandali that were trustees. And Bao was not a trustee in those early years, but everyone was. There was Sarosh was a trustee. I won't be able to rattle off all of who was there, but Adi K was there, and they were all trustees. And Mani was the chairman of this band of Mandali, and she used to call. She came to discover that Bao had some knowledge. They didn't even know. Bao made it clear that the Mandali didn't even know that he had these 3 master's degrees. And later on, Bao told us that he also had a PhD in agriculture, and his topic was the banana. And of course, his the medicinal and the medical benefits of health benefits of the banana. Bao did research on that, and this was before he met Meher Baba. He was doing a PhD on the banana, and he finished his thesis. He told us this in the very, very end. I don't know if you were there, Mother Nama. Were you there when he told us? Yeah. So not a lot of people heard this, but he told us that he finished his PhD. He had it all completed. But he had not sat with whoever the chancellor or whoever was in charge of the university to review it. So all the work was complete. He just had to present it for review. But when Bao joined Meher Baba in 1953, am I right, Mother Nama? It was 53. He did. Baba said, "Are you finished with your coursework?" And he says, "I have my coursework is finished, but I just have the convocation." Excuse me. And so he didn't ask about the PhD, so Bao didn't say anything about that. So he had 3 convocations to attend. He had he had his law degree. That was one. He had public administration. Excuse me. And that was 2. And then he had agriculture. So he had a master's in agriculture, and then he went on to get the PhD in the banana. Bao went back for the convocation, and he decided, oh, there's a photographer here. I'll just get my picture taken in the robe the day before the convocation. And so I must have evidence for Baba that I attended the convocation. So he put his robe on, and he had all his paper. He had it all there. And then, as Baba would have it, Baba actually called him before the convocation. And the next day, Bao was traveling when the convocation was going on. So he obeyed Baba. He did exactly what Baba wanted, and he had this evidence of his gown. And Baba never asked about the PhD. He was God, he knew about it. But about all these years later, in 2000, and I think it was 2013, Bao told us about the PhD. And Jamie Newell and Zoe, bless Zoe's heart, they got a PhD certificate made for Bao, and they had his name and everything, and they presented it to him in his last chat. They didn't know it was his last chat, but it was before he passed, before he joined Baba. And they had the certificate all framed, and they had sent it in advance, and we put it up on the wall with Jamie and Zoe there. They both had PhDs because Bao told them to finish their PhDs, and they did that. And Jamie gave a beautiful little speech about Bao and his PhD. And do you know who ended up with that PhD? Dadi Karawala, Dr. Dadi Karawala, went to New York, and Bao gave him his PhD and said, someone should have some use for this thing. And so he gave him his PhD, and Dadi Karawala submitted Bao Kalchuri's PhD. And he got his PhD on Baoji's research about the banana. Isn't that great? That's a little known story, but Bao told us that in 2013. So so I told you all of that because it was later that Money realized, oh, this Bao actually has some real knowledge, and they inadvertently found out that he had legal knowledge because during the Kutumba Shastri time, there was a big lawsuit, and it was a big headache for all the Mandali. They had no idea to handle it. They had hired an attorney, but they didn't even know how to advise the attorney. And so Bao just quietly did the research on the case, and he figured out the solution of how to make it work legally. And he presented it to Money and the rest of the trustees, and they used that case and that research that Bao did, and they won the case. And that's another long story, but the point is, Money realized how brilliant Bao was, and in the later years of her chairmanship, she was calling on him a great deal to help, and she's the one that recommended Bao to be the next chairman. So he became a trustee first, but Money was the one that said that Bao should be the next chairman. And everyone listened to Money, of course, you know. So that's how that happened. Okay, so I think we're getting near the end of this story. So we go out the gate of Khushru Quarters, and oh, now something has happened in the world today that's very humorous and is also very useful. And right outside this gate and near, let's see, where, see this gravel road, you go out to the main highway, and there's there used to be a 4-lane highway, 4-lane, 2-lane highway outside. Yeah, you'd turn right, and then you'd go to Meherabad, and it would take you about, if you were lucky, you'd get there in 45 minutes from Khushru Quarters, Mehera Nazar, to the trust compound. So today, whoops, where did you go? The gate today we go out the gate along that gravel road onto the highway, but there's now what's called a flyover. It's like what they have in cities in the US for mass transit, and what they have for freeways it just flies right over the city of Ahmednagar, and it went right through the middle and on top of the road, the main road. And there's these big pillars holding it up. But
We
it
call it
was-
an overpass. I think that's
they
what,
call it a flyover.
okay.
They call it a flyover. We would call it an overpass, but in India, they call it a flyover. And this flyover was supposed to stop at the police chowk, which is a very logical place to stop because that's a major intersection, and it goes to Savadi, which is a major business and shopping area. And the police, of course, are very important, and the collectorate, where you take all your lawsuits, that's right there too. So it's a very important corner. But Mehernath informed us, because he knows everything that's going on in the world of officials around Ahmednagar, and also the state of Maharashtra and even India, because he's a advocate himself, and he does all this legal work for the trust and the land work. So he told us that they ran out of money, that Modi's government decided that they didn't have enough money to finish this project to the police chowk. So no, Mayor Baba had a different idea, because the flyover begins right outside the door of Mayor Nazar. Right outside, in front of Sarosh petrol pump, in front of Baba's Ahmednagar Center and the old Sarosh Motors, which today is called Force Motors. The flyover begins, and you enter it, and you fly over. If you're driving a car, you'll drive across Ahmednagar in 3 minutes on this flyover. What used to take half an hour, sometimes an hour with traffic, takes now 3 minutes. And you get down right almost just a short distance from the turn that Baba took when he went to Arangown for that first time, that takes you to the Meherabad. So just see our avatar. He's got it all planned out. He's still planning, and he's got this flyover. And when people come off the flyover, they see the sign, Avatar Meherabad Trust. So you fly over, and now we can make it. And then we have the 4-lane highway from that point all the way to Meherabad. And that 4-lane highway plus the flyover gets you to Lower Meherabad in 20 minutes. What used to take way over an hour, now only takes 20 minutes. So that's Baba's joke, isn't it? They ran out of money.
Joanna, is that point both an entrance and an exit?
Yes, it is.
To,
It's an entrance and an exit, both directions.
Sorry to interrupt here, but I used to take a rickshaw from Meherabad to the trust in the mornings, especially when Erich was going to be there.
Uh-huh.
And we would dash in, I think because it was early, 6 a.m. and there wasn't traffic.
Right.
And so we could dash in about 20 to 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Just to add that.
So that's what it should be, Jill, if there's no traffic. And that's why the flyover gives you no traffic route.
Okay.
I wanted to ask, the room in Bauji's office, there's an annex room with a bed.
Yes.
In Bauji's office, what is that room?
That annex room with a bed, I don't have a picture, but that was Adi K's part of his quarters. And
So it's not the room with the window where Baba used to sit at the window and
No.
look out
it is not. The room with the window is
next to it.
next to it, and it's
Yeah.
closer to that seclusion room, which is now the chairman's office.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So Jai Baba, Avatar, Meher Baba, Ki Jai.
It-
That's our little tour of Khushru Quarters, Mayor Nazar, thank you for coming with me.
Wow, that was great.
Joanna, do
Wow.
you want to open to questions?
Absolutely, yes.
We have about,
I'll take the picture. I'll stop the sharing. Shall I? And then we can see each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jai Baba. Jai Mayor Baba.
wow, this was fabulous.
Ellen and Marcia and Marjipan, Seppi, Sanobar, Dee Meher, Kieran. Ralph is there, and Jill's got her hand up. Now I'll let Betty.
Okay, let's
Dinah has been here, Ellen, Marilyn, Jai Baba to everyone.
ask to raise hands if you have questions.
Okay.
Jill,
Well, Joanne, only if this fits. Was an incredible story that you told, and so well put together. And I just have one question, because I just finished Gulmai's story, and she was very sad in parts of it. And at the end, she seemed to feel really left out. And I know the Westerners arrived at Nasik in 1937 or 36 and 37. And do you have any comments on Gulmai's sense of feeling left out?
Yes, she that seemed to be as you read, I'm rereading those diaries. I've read them, I'm rereading them, I'm trying to really absorb them because of the stature of this woman. And I've come to personally just feel like she's somebody I knew and I didn't know, but she suffered a tremendous amount. And that separation from the beloved, having him push you away and take the newer Western lovers with him on different places instead of her, it created tremendous suffering for her. But she never left her beloved Mayor Baba. She never left her beloved Upasni. She loved them both to the very end, dearly. And that suffering, I think our beloved Baba has told us that this longing must be created. We must, it's a requirement in the spiritual life, if we are to become closer and closer inwardly to him, we have to have that. And when we go, it's not so comforting when we're going through personal difficulties ourselves to know that, but in hindsight, it is comforting that Baba has said that it's most necessary that we feel that we pass through suffering, that suffering will bring us closer inwardly. And that's what happened with Gulmai. He was giving her, she did not have the time that other Mandali had with her beloved. She had it in those early years, and she had full freedom, really. Her husband was extremely generous in allowing his wife to leave the family and go and stay with the Upasni, to leave the family and go and stay with Baba in the Jopti. She spent a great deal of time in the Jopti, as she outlines in her diaries.
Yes. Well, it's so fitting that as her diaries have come out, that you, a Westerner, are telling more of her story, that we can begin to understand her. I know the Westerner stories and the main Mandali, but thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Jill. Thank you.
Joanna, I have a couple. Sanober has asked a couple of questions and has comments, so I'm just going to read them. She says, It's great. She says, that was superb, Joanna. The vibration was so high on this Zoom. I don't know if you've seen the chat, but I'm reading it. Is there any particular spot in Wadia Park to mark where Baba had been for the cricket matches?
Yes, yes. The cricket match is still there today. They've built like a shopping mall all around it, but one year, I don't know who got the idea, but Janice and I went with Mehernath when he met with the officials who controlled the cricket ground today, the Wadia Park cricket ground, and he introduced us as followers of Avatar Meher Baba, and this is where he had his darshan, and we wanted to remember it. Excuse me. It was quite a little dance. It was interesting to watch the way that Mehernath works with officials. Janice and I were completely quiet. We didn't say a word. And Mehernath just spoke with this man, and it wasn't a hard persuasion at all. It was something like somehow, some way, in some little thing that he said, a little spark of love opened in that official, and he felt something. And he said, you know, if I do this for you, I'll have to do it for every group. And we mustn't ever do this kind of thing again, you know, he said. He was very almost nervous that he had said yes. He actually did say yes, that we could have a celebration. And he said, but don't make it big, you know, don't make, you know. So we came there, about 50 people came, and we sat on were bleachers. And Mehernath pointed out where his family had told him, because he was there at the Wadia Park darshan, you know. Mehernath was there. He was 10 and a half months.
Oh, the baby.
It's a beautiful little story of his first meeting of with Baba. If we have time, I could tell it.
Yeah.
So Baba was on the dais with Gage. I'm sorry. Excuse me. He was on the dais with Gage Maharaj. My sister keeps her home very, very chilly. I've got to put something on my. They like it. I'm Indian temperature here.
Yeah, the heater on.
I have
an
Indian, Indian thermostat. So at the cricket ground, which is still standing today, we sat on these bleachers, and the Baba, where we entered, where the physical offices of the officials are, was to the right of where the stage was. The stage was there, and Baba was on the stage. The Maharani of Baroda, you know, was there also. And Gage Maharaj, Baba told to be on the stage with him. And Erich and Bao were also on the stage. Bao was way in the background. Erich, of course, was always up front doing, you know, Baba's gestures to explain if he said something to the audience. And Baba said in gestures, I can't imitate Baba's gestures like Mani can. So Baba said, who are those people out there in the audience? And he was calling Bao, and he said, who are those people out there? I don't know those people. Who are those people? And imagine that there's 100,000 people in the crowd, and Baba's pointing out a woman and two small children. And Bao's saying, those people, Baba? And Baba says, no, not those people. Those people. And Baba's pointing again. It took 2-3 times for Bao to locate who the people were. And finally, Baba's Bao landed on Rama Kalchuri, Sheila Kalchuri, and Mehernath Kalchuri. And Mehernath was 10 months, and Sheila was about 3.5. And Rama. And Bao said, oh, Bao, that's Rama Kalchuri. And he didn't even say it's my wife. That's Rama he was so detached from his family by this time, you know. She's Rama Kalchuri. And Baba said, well, who are those small children with her? You know, Baba's having to pull this out. He's doing a darshan for 100,000 people and he's carrying on this. Of course, with Baba, it probably happened very quickly and I'm making it sound slow, but Baba would move right through, wouldn't he? But anyway, he said, who is that that young girl? And he said, oh, that's Sheila. And who is that small child? And Baba says, oh, yes, that's Meherabad. And I don't know for sure if Bao had even seen his son by this time, 10 and a half months. He'd just been with Baba and he was completely ground down, you know, but he knew he had a son because Rama had sent a cable to Baba on the day. And before that cable came, Baba said, today is my birthday. And the Mandali were confused, but they didn't question Baba. And then the cable came and said it was Meherabad's birthday, that Meherabad had been born. So this is the first time that Baba saw Meherabad. I think he might have met Sheila at the darshan, yeah, because Rama took darshan at the same time as Bao did when he first met Baba. So I think Sheila probably as an infant met Baba first there, but this was Meherabad's first meeting, and Baba called them up to him to give them darshan, and they got darshan, and Baba actually took a hold of the baby, and you know, that was the first meeting, you know. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it is beautiful, you know. So any other questions or?
It sounds like Rama notified Baba of the birth of Meherabad before even telling Babaji.
Oh yeah,
Their story, yeah.
she did. She did, because Baba arranged for Rama to fall totally, completely head over heels in love with Meher Baba. And she was so in love with Baba on that first meeting in Sauner. She was in the women's queue. Bao Kalchuri was in the men's queue. They had a completely separate experience of meeting Baba for the first time in Sauner. And it was Rama's, let's see, was it Rama's family or Bao's family that put on the darshan?
It was Baoji. Oh no, Baoji's
Rama's
brother-in-law was the
brother-in-law. So it was Rama's
mayor.
brother. Rama's brother had actually he was a small king, you know. Their family were kings, and so he was like a small prince of a number of villages, and he, because of his stature in the community, when holy people came to Sauner, and he had a home in Sauner, he would pay for it, he would fund it. So in this darshan, there were, I don't know, 10,000 people or something. It was a big darshan. He had funded it. And so Bao was in the queue, and he said to Bao, but Kalchuri, you don't need to be in this queue. What are you doing? You know, they had everybody on the floor, scooting along in the dirt to get up to Meher Baba. But, and Bao was doing that. And the whole time he had his eyes on Meher Baba, and he was like getting Baba's darshan as he was giving prasad to each one. And Rama's brother, Bao's brother-in-law, was saying, Kalchuri, what are you doing? You know, come with me. I'll take you up to meet Meher Baba, and you can get your darshan. You don't need to do this. And he said, no, this is very good. I want to remain here. So he just stayed there. And at the same time, Rama was in the women's queue, and she was having her own experience of Baba's love raining down on her. And when she got her chance to meet Baba, she just became completely his, completely, totally his. And that was Baba's arrangement, that, she was going to be so in love with him that even if he ordered her to give her husband to him, it would happen. And that's how it was. I always kind of wondered, how could it happen that I can understand Bao giving up his family, but what about the wife and the children giving up, the wife giving up her husband? How could that happen? And it only happened through love, see how it's remarkable, isn't it, really, how it happens.
Right.
Joanna, I bet we have, let's say 5 to 7, something, a short time left, everybody. So, and I'll let you know, Joanna she likes this arrangement where she can see you all. I could put her on speaker, but she specifically likes to be in the group with everybody, to see everybody. So that's how we're doing it. I have
It
a
was
quick question.
beautiful, beautiful, beautiful talk. Thank you so much.
It was
Thank
wonderful.
you. Thank you.
Wonderful,
Thank you all for coming. It was wonderful. Wonderful to be with you.
I do have a question. I'm so confused about the Ahmednagar Center. Did it
Uh-huh.
start out within the compound, or was it always just out of the I didn't understand that.
It first, when Baba first gave them the idea, they didn't even have the idea of having a center. They just were happy coming to Meherabad and singing for Baba, because most of them were musicians. It was Baba's idea. And again, this is unique for all centers. We don't know of anybody else that had this idea. It was Baba's idea to have this center. And they then started meeting in houses when Baba said you should have a center. So they started meeting in houses, and Baba then made the arrangement of being able to pay for it, and got Adi K to give that room.
A room.
It was a room.
Within the
then-
compound. Within the compound?
Yes, and it's still there today. It's part of the center, that room. But then they opened the wall when Baba said, I want Sarosh to expand it. Sarosh got the wall opened up and gave a part of his auto company, Sarosh Motor Works, for the rest of the center that is there today. And in future, this center will be, it's important today, but in future it'll be even more important as a treasure of Baba's, that Baba spent time there. He gave darshan there a number of times. And, it's just it's a special Baba place. It really has Baba's energy. And there's a photograph the photograph is 1937 photograph that Baba gave to the center, and he gave this identical photograph to Gulmai, and she put it in her prayer room after 37. So it was not in that picture that I showed you. So that picture was well before 37. Yeah. Yeah.
So Ralph has a question.
Yes, Ralph.
It needs to be short, Ralph.
My two things are still a little vague in my mind. The the Nagar Center, as you showed it to us, is still the Meher Baba Center.
Yes.
For the Nagar group. Meher, yeah, Ahmednagar group.
Yes.
But that was the Sarosh Motor Works, which they renovated and expanded.
Right.
But Joanna, you mentioned another motor works.
Oh, yeah, today there is, it's called Force Motors.
But how can it, but it's not located. It has.
Yeah, it's there. It's beside the center. It went,
beside the
you
center.
see, Sarosh gave the Ahmednagar Center that says Ahmednagar Center. He gave that to Baba and to the Ahmednagar people for their center. but he still had more property that was the
Oh.
motor works. So the motor works was still there in Baba's time. It was just smaller.
Between the road and the center, the motor works must be in
Yes,
there. Is that
it's
correct?
toward the road,
Yeah.
toward today's flyover.
Okay, now the next question is, and I've been wondering about this for a long time. The trust. So Monty's office is still, that used to be the entire trust. But then there are other buildings, people did typing out on the porch.
Right.
And in other buildings going down the veranda there, running down towards Audie's, I called it his office.
Mhm.
And is that still the trust, or did the trust move to Meherabad?
The trust does have an office at Meherabad, but
Oh.
the primary office work of all the, the chief accountant for the trust and all the people that work under him, that work for all of the Baba's trusts, they're all there in that office that I showed in the presentation,
Yeah.
which used to be Adi K's bedroom and the family quarters. Yeah, and that veranda is still there. Yeah. Maybe you didn't see the pictures, Ralph.
Yeah, no, I did. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think I saw Monty at her desk. That's kind of an old picture, but so that's still the trust office where Monty's desk is. Well, it was then that I'll just, yeah, can you?
Yeah, so I'm just going to show you. Yeah, so here, this is this is today's office right here where I'm showing. Okay, and in Baba's
Okay,
time.
so our backs are kind of at the center.
And Money's office is over
Ahmednagar
here.
Center. Our backs are like
Yes, Ahmednagar Center's over
looking
here.
across toward town. Yeah.
Yes, and I'll show you Money's. Yeah, this is all of the wrong side of the compound. Actually, the Ahmednagar Center is down from these trees. Yeah, there's Money sitting at her office. This is her office. It's on, as you're walking in the gate, this is on the left side. The Ahmednagar Center is opposite to Money's office.
Yeah, across the courtyard. Yeah.
Yeah.
That little window right there to the left of the
There?
the entrance, that's
Oh,
a
here,
veranda,
inside.
and then go through, and that's the office.
Yes.
There was a type, I remember Jacko and other people too would sit and type. Monty would give them things, typing work.
Right, and they would type out here.
Right there inside that window area, right there.
Yeah, in that little veranda. Yeah, that's how this place has always been used. It every square inch has been used.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I recall one day being in there, and Eric came out and said, and a mouse ran out, and Eric was chasing the mouse out of the office, and the mouse went scurrying down the veranda, to our right as we're looking there. And Eric said, "Ralph, go stomp on that mouse."
Did
So
you
I
get it?
chased that, the mouse got away, and I was glad I didn't want to be stomping on the mouse there on that but I would have if I could have caught it, but I didn't. He got away.
Yeah.
Well, folks, I
Oh,
think we need
thank
to
you.
wind it up because we have about 5 minutes before our next program, which is light meditation, comes on. but oh, Joanna, many thanks. This is so special. Thank you so much.
Thank
What-
Thank you, Joanna. This has been fabulous.
yeah,
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Baba.
I have to tell you, Joanna and I worked, she learned screen sharing last night, late. She's really a trooper.
She's quick, she's quick. She
What
handled
energy.
the Bauji's chat, so she's quick in
You
that.
know how funny how Baba works. Just I'm making a banana bread to bring someone.
Oh,
And just when you brought up the banana, I peeled 3 bananas. Can you
In
believe that?
honor-
That
in
was
honor
funny,
of
right?
that PhD, Marcia.
I
In
know at
honor of
that
the
moment I
banana.
peeled 3 bananas. I said, oh my God, it's funny, right?
Yeah, and
Anyway.
Bauji,
Marsha has her bachelor's in banana bread. She's working on a master's with the view to
We're chocolate
Yeah.
chips. We're chocolate
PhD
chips.
in
Yeah,
banana bread. Yeah.
it's
And
funny.
she's
Thank you
also-
very much. It's really great hearing this firsthand, like from you.
thank you all. Yeah,
Appreciate
yeah,
it.
because I said to Betty that I have to see their faces, because if I'm just looking at myself talking and pictures, Baba's not going to come for me. I know that. If I see their faces, then Baba will come. So I don't think he disappointed. I think he came. Yeah. So
Definitely.
thank you all for coming.
Great to hear about that little boy.
Yeah.
That
Oh.
dog, that's such a unique picture.
Well,
And the
it's
little
not him.
boy was standing.
Ralph, that little boy was not him.
It was not him. It was that's not the picture of the boy, but it's a picture
Oh, it
of,
isn't?
no, I'm
Oh.
sorry.
But it was
That's-
taken at
The
the,
picture is not the boy who thought Baba was a magician.
Right, he is not. He is not.
but it was
But it
taken,
is, we don't know what went on in that little boy's heart, but certainly he was touched, and he was being pushed by his little sisters probably to go
I-
closer and closer.
But
It
it
was
was
a
at the same,
coincidence you were showing that photo simultaneous to telling the story.
Yeah, I was, because it was such a touching picture.
well, and at the
Yeah.
same place, is that correct?
It's the same place. Ralph, that is the place of the darshan. That little boy was there at the Khushru Quarters darshan that I was talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want you to know that Sanover says, can't wait to visit the trust office when you're back to Meherabad.
Yeah,
She said,
definitely.
"Oh, you'll
So
see."
there's more, and there's a personal feeling that you will get from these places, and walk on the stones that Baba walked on. And people didn't realize how much time he spent there. So thank you again, and Avatar, Meher Baba,
Meher
Ki
Baba,
Jai. Thank you all.
Our
Meher
Meherabad.
Baba.
DJ.
Yay.
Our
Meher
Meherabad.
Baba. DJ.
Great.
All right, now I'm not gonna
Wow.
end because,
It's hard to part. It's hard to part. It was wonderful.
right, well, I think it's just 2 minutes before Jackie comes on, so.
I want to stop the recording.
Good idea, stop the recording.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.